The most beautiful people we have known are those who have known defeat, known suffering, known struggle, known loss, and have found their way out of those depths. People are like stained glass windows. They sparkle and shine when the sun is out, but when the darkness sets in, their true beauty is revealed only if there is a light from within. It's only when we truly know and understand that we have a limited time on Earth and that we have no way of knowing when our time is up, we will then begin to live each day to the fullest, as if it was the only one we had. Learning lessons is a little like reaching maturity. You're not suddenly more happy, wealthy, or powerful, but you understand the world around you better, and you're at peace with yourself. Learning life's lessons is not about making your life perfect, but about seeing life as it was meant to be. Should you shield the canyons from the windstorms, you would never see the true beauty of their carvings. I believe that we are solely responsible for our choices, and we have to accept the consequences of every deed, word, and thought throughout our lifetime. It is not the end of the physical body that should worry us. Rather, our concern must be to live while we're alive, to release our inner selves from the spiritual death that comes with living behind a facade, designed to conform to external definitions of who and what we are. The 5 stages, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance, are a part of the framework that makes up our learning to live with the one we lost. They are tools to help us frame and identify what we may be feeling, but they are not stops on some linear timeline in grief. The truth does not need to be defended. Learn to get in touch with the silence within yourself and know that everything in life has purpose. There are no mistakes, no coincidences. All events are blessings given to us to learn from. Consciously or not, we are all on a quest for answers, trying to learn the lessons of life. We grapple with fear and guilt. We search for meaning, love, and power. We try to understand fear, loss, and time. We seek to discover who we are and how we can become truly happy. We're put here on earth to learn our own lessons. No one can tell you what your lessons are. It is part of your personal journey to discover them. On these journeys, we may be given a lot, or just a little bit, of the things we must grapple with, but never more than we can handle. We need to teach the next generation of children from day one that they are responsible for their lives. Mankind's greatest gift, also its greatest curse, is that we have free choice. We can make our choices built from love or from fear. The opinion which other people have of you is their problem, not yours. Love is really the only thing we can possess, keep with us, and take with us. I only believe in what I see and hear with my own eyes and ears. The ultimate lesson all of us have to learn is unconditional love, which includes not only others, but ourselves as well. Those who have the strength and the love to sit with the dying patient in the silence that goes beyond words will know that this moment is neither frightening nor painful, but a peaceful cessation of the functioning of the body. I've told my children that when I die, to release balloons in the sky to celebrate that I graduated. For me, death is a graduation. It is difficult to accept death in this society because it is unfamiliar. In spite of the fact that it happens all the time, we never see it live, so you do not have to look back and say, "God, how I have wasted my life." It is important to feel the anger without judging it, without attempting to find meaning in it. It may take many forms: anger at the healthcare system, at life, at your loved one for leaving. Life is unfair. Death is unfair. Anger is a natural reaction to the unfairness of loss. We often assume that if we are good people we will not suffer the ills of the world. I think modern medicine has become like a prophet offering a life free of pain. It is nonsense. The only thing I know that truly heals people is unconditional love. Death is staring too long into the burning sun and the relief of entering a cool, dark room. For those who seek to understand it, death is a highly creative force. The highest spiritual values of life can originate from the thought and study of death. Death is not painful. It is the most beautiful experience you will have. According to my parents, I was supposed to have been a nice, church-going Swiss housewife. Instead, I ended up an opinionated psychiatrist, author and lecturer in the American Southwest, who communicates with spirits from a world that I believe is far more loving and glorious than our own. Medicine has changed greatly in the last decades. Widespread vaccinations have practically eradicated many illnesses, at least in Western Europe and the United States. The use of chemotherapy, especially the antibiotics, has contributed to an ever-decreasing number of fatalities in infectious diseases. Denial helps us to pace our feelings of grief. There is a grace in denial. It is nature's way of letting in only as much as we can handle. I'm going to dance in all the galaxies. Those who learn to know death, rather than to fear and fight it, become our teachers about life. My work with AIDS patients started right at the beginning of the epidemic, totally unplanned and spontaneous, as all my work had proceeded in the previous 2 decades, if it were not already my whole lifestyle. In the early 80s, we knew very little about this peculiar disease. When I came to this country in 1958, to be a dying patient in a medical hospital was a nightmare. You were put in the last room, furthest away from the nurse's station. You were full of pain, but they wouldn't give you morphine. Nobody told you that you were full of cancer and that it was understandable, that you had pain and needed medication. The only incontrovertible fact of my work is the importance of life. I say to people who care for people who are dying, if you really love that person and want to help them, be with them when their end comes close. Sit with them. You don't even have to talk. You don't have to do anything, but really be there with them. When we grow older and begin to realize that our omnipotence is really not so omnipotent, that our strongest wishes are not powerful enough to make the impossible possible, the fear that we have contributed to the death of a loved one diminishes, and with it, the guilt. As far as service goes, it can take the form of a million things. To do service, You don't have to be a doctor working in the slums for free, or become a social worker. Your position in life and what you do doesn't matter as much as how you do what you do. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that there is no death the way we understood it. The body dies, but not the soul. Watching a peaceful death of a human being reminds us of a falling star, one of a million lights in a vast sky that flares up for a brief moment only, to disappear into the endless night forever. For years, I have been stalked by a bad reputation. Actually, I have been pursued by people who have regarded me as the death and dying lady. They believe that having spent more than 3 decades in research into death and life after death qualifies me as an expert on the subject. I think they miss the point. If people would get in touch with their spirits, they would be able to heal, emotionally and physically. I always say that death can be one of the greatest experiences ever. If you live each day of your life right, then you have nothing to fear. I didn't fully realize it at the time, but the goal of my life was profoundly molded by this experience to help produce, in the next generation, more Mother Teresas and less Hitlers. Dying is something we human beings do continuously, not just at the end of our physical lives on this earth. People after death become complete again. The blind can see, the deaf can hear. Cripples are no longer crippled after all their vital signs have ceased to exist. It's only when we truly know and understand that we have a limited time on earth and that we have no way of knowing when our time is up that we will begin to live each day to the fullest, as if it was the only one we had. Any natural, normal human being, when faced with any kind of loss, will go from shock all the way through acceptance. I was destined to work with dying patients. I had no choice when I encountered my first AIDS patient. I felt called to travel some 250,000 miles each year to hold workshops that helped people cope with the most painful aspects of life, death and the transition between the two. The simple life on the farm was everything to me. Nothing was more relaxing after a long plane flight than to reach the winding driveway that led up to my house. The quiet of the night was more soothing than a sleeping pill. It is inconceivable for our unconscious to imagine an actual ending of our own life here on earth, and if this life of ours has to end, the ending is always attributed to a malicious intervention from the outside, by someone else.